Have you ever wondered how your car stays cool on those scorching hot days? Whether it's the middle of summer or you're stuck in traffic, the kind of days when it feels like the sun is just beating down on you and your car's interior turns into an oven. You jump in, press the AC button, and within minutes the air is cool and refreshing. But it's not just about a switch in cold air. There's a lot of science and engineering packed into that simple action. Believe it or not, there's no ice machine hidden inside your car AC. That blast of chilly air is actually hot air with the heat removed during a multi-step process. Okay, so air conditioners have been around for a while, and they're not exactly new tech. In fact, the technology behind them is similar to that of early refrigerators. Refrigerators from the late 1800s used ammonia, methyl chloride, and sulfur dioxide as refrigerants. Those things were so toxic and deadly that if they leaked, you'd be in trouble. By the 1920s, engineers and scientists recognized the dangers posed by toxic refrigerants, and they started working on safer alternatives. In 1928, Charles Kettering, the vice president of the General Motors Research Corporation, teamed up with Thomas Midgley, and they developed Freon. Freon is a very effective CFC-based refrigerant that is not flammable and not poisonous to humans. Freon was a major advancement. During its time, it was a life-saving improvement that drastically reduced the risks associated with refrigeration and air conditioning systems. By 1935, Freon was already in widespread use, and it quickly became a game-changer in refrigeration technology. Same year, Ralph Pio of Howd Engineering applied for a patent for an air cooling unit for automobiles. U.S. patent was granted on late 1937. In 1939, Packard became the first automobile manufacturer to offer an air conditioning unit in its cars. It was introduced in their Packard 120 model, and it used Freon R12 as the refrigerant. Several big automakers, including General Motors, stepped up to take the business and made the aircon as a standard feature in almost all of their models in 1953. In the same year, Chrysler became the first major automaker to offer air conditioning as a factory-installed option in their cars. Their system is called AirTemp. Sales of AC units highly increased in the 60s. Cadillac really changed the game by bringing in AC control systems for the first time in 1964. The setting allowed changing the car temperature to a preferred temperature. In the 1960s, air conditioning had become so common that over half of the new cars sold in the US were equipped with built-in air conditioning as a standard or optional feature. During the late 1980s, scientists discovered that widespread use of Freon was damaging the Earth's ozone layer. Manufacturers transitioned to R134A in the mid-1990s. It is an HFC-based hydrofluorocarbon refrigerant that does not have the ozone-destroying properties of Freon. The newest refrigerant is R1234YF, which produces fewer greenhouse gases. Europe requires the use of this refrigerant, and it will likely become the new standard. And nowadays, almost every car has it. The car AC system operates on the principles of thermodynamics and fluid mechanics. It consists of several key components working together to cool the air inside your vehicle. Basically, your car's air conditioning is a heat exchanger moving the heat from the inside of your car to the outside. And to do this, AC uses a substance called refrigerant. Refrigerants are special chemicals that can change from a gas to a liquid and back again, which is key to the whole process. The main parts of the air conditioning system are the compressor, condenser coil, receiver dryer, expansion valve, and evaporator coil. When the AC turned on, the car's climate control system sends a signal to engage the AC compressor clutch. The compressor is connected to the engine's crankshaft via a belt and is powered by the engine's mechanical energy. This contains one or more pistons housed inside cylinders. As the engine runs, it drives the compressor, which compresses the refrigerant gas. The refrigerant, initially a low-pressure gas, enters the compressor and gets squeezed into a high-pressure, high-temperature gas. This hot gas is then pushed into the condenser at the front of the car. The condenser basically a radiator, and it serves the same purpose as the one in your car, to radiate heat out of the system. Also, it sits right behind the radiator to take advantage of the airflow when the car is moving. As the hot refrigerant gas flows through these tubes, it releases heat to the surrounding air. The air flowing around the twisting tubes of the condenser cools the refrigerant down until it's a liquid again. As the refrigerant loses heat, it begins to change from a high-pressure gas to a high-pressure liquid. This process, known as a phase change, is similar to how steam turns back into water when it cools down. As the liquid moves out of the condenser, it goes through a little reservoir called receiver dryer, and this receiver dryer contains desiccants. These desiccants remove any water that's entered the system so that ice crystals don't form and damage. Also, receiver dryer helps separate any remaining gas from the liquid refrigerant, ensuring that only liquid refrigerant flows to the expansion valve. The high-pressure liquid refrigerant flows from the receiver dryer through the expansion valve, where it is allowed to expand. This expansion reduces the pressure on the refrigerant so it can move into the evaporator. Here, the system changes from the high-pressure side to the low-pressure side. The liquid refrigerant now turns into a cool mixture of liquid and gas, and it enters the evaporator. Some vehicles have an orifice tube rather than an expansion valve, but it serves the same purpose in allowing the refrigerant to expand and the pressure to be lowered before the liquid enters the evaporator. While all the other parts of the system are located in the engine compartment, this one is in the cabin, usually above the footwell on the passenger side. It also looks like a radiator, with its coil of tubes and fins, but its job is to absorb heat rather than dissipate it. Refrigerant enters the evaporator coil as a cold, low-pressure liquid, ideally at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, which is why you don't want any water in the system. The refrigerant doesn't freeze at this temperature, but it does have a very low boiling point. Here, the refrigerant absorbs heat from the cabin air inside the evaporator coil. Due to the low pressure in the evaporator, the refrigerant changes from a liquid to a gas at a much lower temperature than the surrounding air. This phase change of the refrigerant from liquid to gas is what allows the air conditioning system to cool the air by removing heat from the cabin. Now cooled air is blown out by the blower fan and circulated into the vehicle's cabin through the air vents. Air vents distribute the cooled air throughout the vehicle's cabin, providing a comfortable environment for the occupants. Once the refrigerant has absorbed the heat and evaporated into a gas, it moves from the evaporator into the compressor, where it is pressurized and the whole process starts all over again. In addition to cooling the air, the evaporator also plays a role in dehumidifying it. As warm air passes over the cold evaporator coils, moisture in the air condenses on the coils, forming water droplets. These water droplets are collected and drained out of the vehicle, reducing the humidity level inside the cabin and improving comfort. It ensures a comfortable, cool, and pleasant environment for the vehicle's occupants. The AC system works a bit differently in EVs. The AC compressor is powered by an electric motor rather than a belt connected to the engine. This motor is driven by the vehicle's high-voltage battery system. Electric compressors have fewer moving parts and do not rely on belts, which can reduce maintenance needs and improve reliability. In summary, while both IC and EV AC compressors achieve the same goal of cooling the vehicle's interior. Now that we've covered how the air conditioning system works to cool the air in the cabin, it's important to understand how some key features, like the Recirculate button and the AC air filter, contribute to the system's efficiency and air quality. The Recirculate button and the AC cabin air filter both play a crucial role in ensuring you have clean air and a comfortable environment inside your vehicle. Here's how it works. When the Recirculate button is off, the system draws fresh air from outside. This helps to ventilate the cabin and reduce stuffiness. Fresh air is also effective at clearing foggy windows, especially in humid conditions or rainy conditions. When the Recirculate button is turned on, the car's HVAC system stops drawing air from outside and instead recirculates the air inside the cabin. By reusing the already cooled air, the AC can cool the cabin faster and more efficiently. This mode can be used to quickly cool down the cabin or to prevent outside pollutants from entering the vehicle. However, it can cause the air to become stale if used for too long without allowing some fresh air in. Whether the system is using fresh air or recirculated air, the air must be filtered for cleanliness. For this, an air filter is used, which is located under the dashboard on the passenger side. This filter captures contaminants such as dust, pollen, and other particles, ensuring that the air you breathe while driving is cleaner. Like any system, the AC needs regular care. If you've ever experienced a car AC blowing warm air, there's a good chance the refrigerant level is low. Over time, the system can leak refrigerant or experience wear and tear on components. That's why it's important to have your system checked and refilled by a professional. Because automotive air conditioning systems operate under pressure, they need to remain completely sealed from the surrounding environment. Anything that allows refrigerant to escape or contaminants to enter can cause a failure. If a leak is present in any component, identify the leak, replace the faulty component, and then evacuate and recharge the system. Not only will a system leak stop the AC system from cooling, but it can also damage the compressor. The compressor can overheat and damage itself by trying to run with too little refrigerant in the system. Compressors generally are not serviceable and are an expensive item to replace. To operate correctly, the AC condenser needs a steady flow of air through its fins. Road debris and dirt may reduce airflow, causing system malfunction. The condenser is mounted directly behind the vehicle grille, leaving it somewhat exposed and at risk for partial blockage. Regular maintenance helps ensure that the compressor doesn't get overworked and that the condenser and evaporator stay clean and efficient. And there you have it. Now you know exactly how your car's air conditioning system works to keep you cool and comfortable, even on the hottest days. From the science behind refrigerants to the history of how AC became a standard feature, it's clear that car AC systems are a blend of engineering, innovation, and some clever cooling technology. If you found this video helpful or interesting, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay updated with more awesome content on how things work under the hood, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Also, if you have any questions or want to share your thoughts on your car's AC system, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about car maintenance or other cool automotive topics, check out our other videos right here on the channel. Thanks for watching. And remember, keep cool and drive safe.